Peppa Pig has been one of the most successful children's cartoons of recent times, airing worldwide for 20 years. Have you ever noticed how in several episodes the series has a knack for making things appear and disappear out of thin air? One of these instances occurs in the episode Picnic, where the entire pig family gathers for an outdoor meal. Notice there are many delicious things on the picnic blanket, including 2 sandwiches. The detail is that in the next scene, we see all 4 family members with sandwiches in hand. Additionally, there are 4 plates on the ground, 2 more than before, and 2 glasses of orange juice that also appeared out of nowhere. One next to Mommy Pig and another next to Daddy Pig. Even the orange juice carton itself mysteriously disappears. That's what I call the miracle of sandwich multiplication. We'll show you several other mistakes. We all know there's a good chance Madame Gazelle is more than just a simple teacher, especially since she has no shadow, as we discovered in the Halloween episode. But it seems we've discovered another superpower of the kindergarten teacher: invisibility. This happens in the episode where she introduces little Emily Elephant to her new classmates. Notice that as she does this, she and little Emily are side by side, with Madame Gazelle right behind the girl. However, as soon as we get a closer look at Emily, Madame Gazelle puts on her invisibility cloak and we don't see her anymore, like magic. In the episode Daddy Pig's Birthday, we noticed a very curious detail. When Peppa and George call their dad's office and the call ends up on Mr. Rabbit's desk, note there's a board full of calculations and math figures next to Daddy Pig. But when Mr. Rabbit passes the call to his coworker, magically the board moves to be behind Mommy Pig's husband. Additionally, notice that even the calculations written on the board undergo a slight modification. For example, in the first scene, we see some blue letters, a purple circle, and the letters F and X in green below. However, when Daddy Pig is on the phone with his daughter, the writing completely changes, and we see a red equation, a blue 1 + 1 sum, and some letters and numbers in yellow. In the same scene, we also notice that the cup with colored pencils behind Daddy Pig ends up switching places. First, the purple pencil is in one corner and the pink one is in another. However, in the next scene, the 2 pencils swap sides, each ending up on the opposite side. This small mistake is understandable, but the real question is, why are there colored pencils in an architecture office? If you, like us, have no idea about the answer to this question, comment below, #why. Maybe this question will reach the show's creators and they'll end up answering us. In the episode where Peppa needs to build a castle for a school project, we see the pig family's table filled with materials like pens, papers, and pencils. Next to the box of crayons, there are various items such as straws, colored sheets, and even some colored pencils. However, when the little pink pig answers Susie's call, notice that all the materials disappear from that part of the table, leaving only the box of crayons. Still talking about that colorful crayon box, notice that we have 3 units inside the box and 3 outside. But in the next scene, when Peppa answers her friend's call, the 3 sticks that were on the table mysteriously disappear. Not only that, now there are 4 crayon sticks scattered on the floor and another 3 on the kitchen sink counter next to Daddy Pig's head. Additionally, notice that between the scenes, the kitchen sink that was previously near the window disappears completely as well. Abracadabra! Peppa Pig and her magic! In the episode where Peppa's class goes camping, we also noticed a quite interesting continuity error. First, in the scene, we see Mrs. Wolf teaching the children how to blow. Not to blow down the pig's house this time, but to create soap bubbles. The detail is that right after, in the next scene, the toys to make soap bubbles simply disappear from the hands of all the children. I have to admit, these kids are pretty quick to get rid of a toy. In the episode Market, we're introduced to several market stalls at Peppa Pig's town fair. Notice that in the corner of the scene, there's Mr. Bull's stall. Next to his stall, there's a post between his stall and the apple stall. However, when the scene zooms in again and we see the stall in the corner, the post has disappeared. Additionally, we also noticed another cool little mistake. In the initial scene, we see a small pigeon pecking at the canvas of Miss Cow's tent, which later became Mr. Bull's tent. However, in the next scene, this same pigeon moves over to Mr. Bull's stall. Either this is a mistake, or maybe it's a carrier pigeon delivering a note from Miss Cow to Mr. Bull. After all, we know exactly how that story ended. Still in the same episode, we noticed another interesting detail. We see that the first thing shown up close is the apple stall, but if you remember what we just mentioned, it and Mr. Bull's stall are very close to each other. However, when the pig family appears, we can see that the space between the 2 stalls becomes much larger, and Mr. Bull's stall simply disappears from the scene. Oops, that's definitely something we couldn't miss. Returning to the same school project episode, we also noticed another almost imperceptible detail that hardly anyone noticed. Notice that when Mommy Pig answers the phone, as always the buttons are in various different colors. In this case, the first one is orange, the second one yellow, and the third is light gray. The first bottom one is blue. However, when Mom passes the phone to Peppa, the button colors completely change, and the light gray and orange buttons switch places, just like the bottom blue button is now in a different place. But even though the colors of objects in Peppa Pig change, one thing doesn't change. We're always posting videos about movies and cartoons. So if you want to follow us, just subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. In the episode where the Pig family is walking to Grandma Pig's house and we see various characters representing very famous fairy tales, Peppa's family ends up arriving at the Bear family's house. When they get there, notice that there's no path behind the house they find. But when they receive directions from the family and exit through the back door of the house, not only does a path appear, but also a yellow sign appears out of thin air. That's definitely something intriguing. In the episode where Peppa, George, and Mommy Pig are preparing a surprise for Daddy Pig, we see that while the two children carry buckets of water, Mommy Pig leaves the house with a total of 4 balloons. But when the family finishes tying them to the tree branches, we see a total of 6 balloons, 2 more than what we saw in the first place. It must have been a balloon multiplication miracle, but there's still a mystery involving these same balloons in Peppa Pig. Notice that when Daddy Pig arrives and is taken to the spot, the balloon colors are different from when they were just hung up. Specifically, the yellow and pink balloons suddenly change places. In the episode where George needs to eat his salad after pizza, we notice that the appearance and disappearance of things also happens. Grandma puts cucumber and 2 tomato pieces on Peppa's little brother's plate. Just by the piglet's expression, we can tell that's not exactly what he wanted. So it's obvious that he wouldn't easily eat any of those vegetables. That's why it doesn't make much sense that when we see George's plate again after everyone finishes their pizza slices, there's only 1 tomato piece on it. Either this is a mistake, or George ate the piece when no one was looking, which I highly doubt. In the episode where the little tortoise ends up falling on Pedro Pony's nose when he shakes the tree, a fashion mistake happens. Because the little boy's glasses fell into the mud, the town's optometrist is called, who coincidentally is Pedro's own dad. And notice on Dr. Pony's outfit, we see he's wearing a beautiful blue bow tie. However, when everyone realizes after several minutes that the poor tortoise is still upside down, notice that the beautiful bow tie has disappeared from Dr. Pony's outfit. In the episode where Mr. Bull and his brother inform Dr. Hamster that her clinic for sick animals is right in the middle of the road, we see that the work is supervised by Mr. Rabbit, and notice he appears and walks up the hill where Dr. Hamster's home is. However, both before and after this scene, there are excavators exactly in that spot where Mr. Rabbit walks so calmly. There's also another interesting detail. At the beginning of the episode, we see Mr. Rhinoceros on one of the excavators, and on the other one, it's not very clear, but it seems to be Miss Rabbit. Always her! However, when Mr. Rabbit along with the Bull brothers decide they should make a tunnel, the excavators are empty and the 2 brothers get into them. Finding these little mistakes in Peppa's cartoon doesn't make the show bad. But I have to admit that whenever I watch the episodes now, I'm analyzing if there are any new errors. If you find any, put them in the comments, and we can include them in the next video and mention you. We're leaving 2 really cool videos on your screen now for you to watch and keep going with us. Thanks, and see you later.